Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil. Kumintuntum Perkun.
Good evening. It's good to see you here. It is Ghana Tonight, and I am Kemini Amano. Our top stories this hour. Government announces new interventions for petroleum products, but prices will still go up, according to COMAC. Tonight, the why. Also top of the news this hour, Ghana successfully completes IMF program, hitting major milestones. But managers of the economy opt for a non-financing technical assistance program. Tonight, what that means for you. Also this hour, European Union takes interest in Ghana's fight against illegal and unethical mining. Ambassador Skinnibash calls for sustainable law enforcement. Also tonight, we are tracking that mine collapse in Asante Achim Central area. Tonight, we're learning rescue and recovery operations may be concluding. We'll get into that in a tad. But it is Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I am Kemini Amano. We're also streaming live on 3news.com, x.com, facebook.com, and YouTube. If you'd like to be a part of the program with your interventions, thoughts, questions, comments, let us know. Use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. The night summaries in Ghana Brief.
Ghana has officially concluded its 3-year International Monetary Fund (IMF) bailout program, marking a key milestone in the country's economic recovery efforts. Governments and the IMF say Ghana will now move into a non-financing policy support arrangement aimed at sustaining reforms and strengthening macroeconomic stability.
This milestone represents the restoration of macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. Following the derailment of the IMF program, as at end 2024, the government of President Mahama acted decisively to bring the program back on track and to recalibrate it by implementing a front-loaded fiscal consolidation, bold expenditure rationalization, and strong structural reforms.
Ghana's financial sector recorded strong growth and improved resilience in 2025, with total sector assets rising by 23.2% to 647.25 billion Ghana cedis. According to regulators, the country is moving from economic stress toward financial stability. Matilda Asante-Esiedu is the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana.
The financial sector was more resilient, bolstered by strong profitability and solvency positions across all the 4 financial industries. Various initiatives have been undertaken to further strengthen the financial sector, and will continue to do that going forward.
General Secretary of the governing National Democratic Congress, NDC, Fifi Fiavi-Kwete, has lamented the influx of persons who do not understand the values and foundation of the party, but are only in for what they can gain. At a briefing outlining the party's activities ahead of the June 4 celebration, Fifi Fiavi-Kwete added that such individuals need to be reoriented.
Political party as well, you have people who really are here, they don't even understand what the NDC is about. They don't know what the values of the NDC stands for. You never see them on any program that has to do with the real values of the NDC. So for example, you have in June 4, they will never appear. 31st December, you never see them. Even the party's anniversary, you never see them. But if there's an opportunity for sharing of some booty, the queue will be the first in the queue. And so these are opportunities to constantly tell people that this party is fundamentally about making sure that the empowerment of the people is number one.
Drama unfolded at the High Court when the first defense witness mounted the witness box to testify in favor of former NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Ntribo-Esiakon, popularly referred to as Wontumi. Wisdom Edem Gomashi, a mining engineer by profession, had to take back several details in his sworn statement after the court admitted it into evidence in what appeared to be inconsistencies. And Apia Kubi, lead counsel for Chairman Wontumi, explained how the inconsistencies came about.
Our secretariat engages in a lot of typing of witness statements. I suspect that in the course of the typing, the important dates of the previous witnesses into the witness statement. So these were just typos, and they are not consequential to the subject matter.
The Ministry of Education has strongly dismissed claims by education policy think tank EduWatch that nearly 72,000 BEC graduates could miss out on senior high school placement this year. The ministry insists that every qualified candidate will be admitted despite concerns over infrastructure deficits and the scrapping of the double-track system. Hashmin Mohammed is press secretary to the sector minister.
All students who will graduate from the BEC will be placed. It is within their right to be placed, provided they sat in the exams, and we have put in enough measures to ensure that we are able to place every student.
It's still Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Just gone by is Ghana Brief. Let's get into that very heartbreaking story. Tonight, a mine collapse in Konongo in the Asante Achim Central Municipality has local authorities burrowing the belly of the earth for at least 9 miners. The trapped miners, believed to be workers of the Northern Ashanti mines, were reportedly underground carrying out mining activities when the pit caved in Wednesday evening. Now, tonight, as we track rescue operations, we are learning that it could be a wrap days after the collapse. Let's connect now with MCE of the area, Reverend Ebenezer Echo Edu. Reverend, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. Reverend, as of Wednesday, well, perhaps we knew that at least 9 people were, below the belly of the earth. As of Wednesday, there were signs of life. Have we found the miners now?
Thank you very much. Firstly, let me greet your listeners and your viewers. We greet the President, Chief of Staff, Vice, and everybody in Ghana. I am happy to inform you and the people of Ghana that we have rescued all the 10 miners who were trapped just around 7:45 tonight. They are currently at the Konongo Government Hospital receiving some medical attention. They are all in good spirits and they started hugging their friends when they were rescued from underground. We thank the people of Asante Achim Central and we thank rescue team who came to support us from Obuasi. So thank God they have all been rescued. All the 10 miners are in good health.
When does this rescue happen?
The rescue team were able to break through around 6:30 this evening. And what actually happened was when they were about to move in to rescue them, the mine, some part collapsed again. So that delayed them from bringing them up. But I myself, I was there when the first person was brought up. Then 3 others also came. One by one, the team have been able to rescue all the 10 miners. So it's just this night.
I see. So they spend at least 2 days down there. Where are they as we speak?
They are currently at Konongo Government Hospital. I just left the hospital to the house because since morning I've been with them and I am now going back home because they are all in good health. I
see. Can we then say that there was no casualty in terms of no one died from this mine collapse?
No, actually, this is what happened. They were in the mines working. Then after they completed their work and they are coming out, they saw that the entrance had been blocked. So this first message was sent up by their colleagues who were also going in to change them. And they were safe because they were having some water with them underground. So that sustained them up to this time. So the mine did not collapse on them. The entrance was just blocked. And what made the rescue difficult was when we started bagging the loose sand. When you bag halfway, then another fresh one will come down. So we have to bring experts from Obuasi to come and help us see the place that is still caving in. And after they were able to do that, just this night around 7, we were able to rescue all of them.
That is indeed great news. Reverend, what do we know about how the mine collapsed? What happened?
We actually cannot tell for now because those who went in to rescue were also very tired. So we asked them to go and rest. So they will give us details tomorrow morning. So I hope it was a loose weight material that came in.
I see. And Reverend, before we let you go, we know that these miners were workers of an established mine firm. What happens next? Will there be investigations? Are we going to look into what went wrong as far as the process is concerned?
So they are contract workers. Contract workers means people who are doing support services to the mining company. And we have asked them to call the area. So we have asked them not to go in until our investigation team ascertain what actually happened. So for now, we will get the full. Our main concentration was to save our young men. So we were not thinking about what happened. We were just thinking about how to save them. And thank God, we have been able to save all of them. So tomorrow, they will start doing the investigation and we will actually know what happened.
This is indeed very miraculous, particularly being under the earth for 2 days, air to breathe.
Today is the 3rd day.
Today is the 3rd day, indeed. How they managed to breathe and survive.
When you see them, it will shock you as if they were on the surface of the earth. Once I was afraid to lose them, but the miners told me that they can be underground for about 7 days. So we should pray that we rescue them on time. And when they came out, I was shocked. They were jumping, hugging their friends, their colleagues. But quickly, we put them in an ambulance and moved them to the health center for proper medical attention.
Very well, Reverend. We'll end our conversation here. Thank you so much for your time. Asante Achim Central Municipality Chief Executive Officer, Reverend Ebenezer Eko Edu. We'll now turn attention to other matters related to illegal mining. Also remember that we'll talk about what your next fuel purchase at the pump will look like shortly. But the European Union has raised fresh concerns over the growing threat of illegal mining activities, popularly known as galamsey, in Ghana. The warning comes after the European Union ambassador to Ghana, Rin Skinnibash, led a delegation on a fact-finding mission to parts of the Atiwa Forest Range and affected communities within the Ebuakwa South municipality in the eastern region. Now, during this visit, the delegation observed the devastating impact of illegal mining on water bodies, farmlands, and forest reserves, with concerns mounting over environmental degradation and the long-term effects on local livelihoods. Skinnibash adds to the growing number of environmental advocates who continue to warn that illegal mining poses a serious threat to Ghana's ecosystem, particularly major water sources and protected forest reserve. I want us to take a listen to the EU ambassador, who stressed that efforts to combat galamsey would not be sustainable without stronger regulations, consistent law enforcement, and long-term environmental protection policies. Take a listen.
Our stance is that what we are seeing today is definitely not sustainable. We know that there are problems with enforcing also this framework which has been laid down, and today we have seen or partly understood why. We can see whole communities benefiting from galamsey, but in the short term. We've also seen, and we can see here around ourselves, the effects it has on nature. And on top of what we can see, we know that it's polluting the water bodies. 65% of the water bodies in Ghana are now polluted due to galamsey. I think to address a complex issue like galamsey, first of all, we need to think long term. We need to think sustainability. We need to have regulation, and we need to have enforcement of the regulation. It requires a lot of resources to do that, but now is a good time. Gold prices are high. We can have a regulated exploration of gold and still make a profit. So the EU is doing a multitude of things in Ghana. We are partnering in Ghana in a series of areas, certainly in development cooperation, also in security and defense, and we are very willing to partner with Ghana on the galamsey file also.
Daryl Bosu is the Deputy National Coordinator of Arusha, Ghana, and joins me for a bit more on this. Daryl, you were part of the delegation that visited the Atiwa Forest. Talk to us about what you have seen so far.
Good evening to you, and thank you for having me. So, I think to put in a bit of a context, so the EU is supporting a lot of advocacy work related to galamsey and also responsible mining in this country. That also prioritizes that, for example, protecting forests and water bodies at the same time, the health of communities where mining is very prevalent. So this was part of the whole initiative to also get to see firsthand the situation on the ground. And being in the eastern region, which, as you know, is one of the hotspots for mining, and also a lot of irresponsible illegal mining going on, you get to see the blatant and brazen impunity that miners have taken over several fields, farmlands, even mining close to rivers. And as you know, in recent days or in recent weeks, we've talked about a lot of encroachment also going on in Atiwa Forest, starting from the boundaries and now moving into the forest at Esekane, Sejimate, and other portions of the forest. So it was really quite a livid moment getting to see how some of these activities are spreading to the extent that a lot of rivers within the area, for example, the Birim, most of it is polluted even to the extent that the water treatment facility in Chebi town has been shut down for 9 months now, and as a result, they are not able to supply water to citizens living in these areas. Most have to rely on boreholes or some desert wells for them to get access to water. So it tells you how bad the situation is. And what is even troubling is that there seems to be an increasing impunity where landowners think that they have the right and the authority to give their lands out to miners without any care for any existing laws or regulations. And that is where the problem is. So it's still very much a big problem in the landscape, with mining escalating and new areas being mined day in and day out. And we can see on the ground that enforcement is still very low. And as a result, we don't see the necessary clamp down on some of these activities as expected.
I see. And what would you say the significance or impact of this visit really is?
Well, I think that the EU is positioning itself to really engage. And as you heard, the ambassador, they're really looking at how they can contribute to the process. I would say that the international community is also very concerned about how water bodies, forest ecosystems, and other economic sectors of the country are being affected as a result of Galamsey. So everybody is trying to see how they can pitch in. And I think that this brings the issue right to their doorstep, and they get to see and experience and also be able to identify with the needs of even the youth who are engaged in illegal activities. Because in some of the engagement, they got to express and also listen to some of the people who are talking about the need for centralized processing facilities, support for equipment, and giving those necessary equipment, they are likely to comply with some of the regulations of working away from river bodies and also making sure they don't want to enforce areas. So I think it's for us an opportunity to engage the EU more, and also for them to share ideas and reflections on how collectively we can work with the government of Ghana to really address the menace that we are currently exposed to.
Very well, Daryl, we'll leave it here. Daryl Bosu, I appreciate your time with us. He is with Arusha, Ghana. We've just been talking about that visit to certain areas in the Chebi area. You're still here on Ghana Tonight Live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. We've got that story about what your new fuel price could be starting tomorrow. Let's get into that right now. It's been a month today since government announced interventions to make life easier for consumers of petrol, diesel, and essentially petroleum products. Tonight, as the intervention expires, Cabinet has decided on a new plan. Now, hold that question. In the last intervention, government announced a 2 cedi per litre drop on the price of diesel and a little under 40 pesos per litre for petrol. Now, here comes the change. In a statement released only hours before coming on the air, Cabinet decided to continue the intervention, except not in the way it used to be. And here's why. Now, the government says that after the latest review, it has decided to intervene in the price of diesel by absorbing 1 cedi, 7 pesos per litre, effective 16th May 2026, and that's on Saturday, tomorrow. So the government is saying that after that cabinet meeting, they reviewed the circumstances around petroleum and have decided that their latest intervention will be to absorb 1 cedi, 7 pesos of diesel price. Now, note that I don't name petrol, and that's because the government statement does not announce any new intervention for petrol as the 1-month-old intervention expires tonight. Now, that intervention was on the 16th of April. Tomorrow, a new pricing window starts the 16th of May, and that 1-month intervention government had given already expires. This new intervention, which only affects diesel at 1 cedi, 7 pesos, will also last another 2 pricing window. starting tomorrow, 16th May 2026. Now, the good thing is, as I've explained, it takes effect from tomorrow. The not so good thing is that the new pricing window kicks in tomorrow and your petrol price is more than likely to inch up. So let's have a conversation on the back of this. Dr. Rivers Opon is CEO, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, and perhaps he would help us understand why COMAC is projecting a fuel price increase from tomorrow. Doc, I appreciate your time this evening, but what would you say are the main factors driving up this new price projection or adjustment, despite what we are seeing circumstantially?
We are indeed in difficult times as far as petroleum product pricing is concerned, especially when it comes to the affordability. Okay, what has made this happen has to do with the increase we've seen in the past 2 weeks window average at the international benchmark prices. The CD, unfortunately, also for this window saw a depreciation for sure of less than 1%, but it's still it's still an important factor in determining the pump prices. Also, let me put this way that the government had an intervention of 2 cedis on petrol, which is now 1 cedi 7 pesos, and also zeroing the subsidy on petrol. And indeed, these 3 factors have been the reason why we see this major increase at the pump starting tomorrow. Nonetheless, let me also emphatically mention it, like I said it on Joy 2 days ago, that with or without the government intervention, as we saw, fuel prices would have gone up regardless anyway. So let's have this point clear.
Very well, Doc. How significant will the increase be for petrol and diesel consumers? Realistically, how much more are we going to pay?
That's relative, because there's no fixed price at any fuel station. But what we can see that on the average, you should expect between 5 to 7% increase in petrol, with what is happening now. All the 3 factors I've given, and between 5 to 7.75% in diesel. With LPG, also we saw a rise of about 2% in prices, in average. So wherever you buy your fuel from, this will be the range of increase that one should expect. Again, depending on wherever any any oil marketing company buy its fuel, whether on credit basis or cash and carry basis, petrol will surely be in the 15s, diesel will be in the 17s, and obviously LPG also be in the 16.5 range per liter and per kg respectively.
Now, Doc, what more could government do or could have done to subsidize cost or cushion the people at this time?
First of all, government did not subsidize. That's not the word we want to have. Government cushioned by intervening with margins, scrapping it. But I believe that the government has realized that it's not sustainable. So he's fallen onto withdrawing it fully from petrol and halving it for now on the diesel. You see, it's unfortunately the case for many African countries where our leaders, I don't say politicians now because I've been told that everybody's a politician. So our leaders would, politicize issues like this. And if you remember when this war started, the chamber warned that nobody should make politics out of it. And in most of my conversations, I really, despite the fact that we sit and have debates on when it was Russia-Ukraine war, it was like this, my time is like this. You don't have control over these prices. We have been lucky that we don't have supply issues as a country. We are being lucky now. But affordability is something that you and I cannot justify, especially when the petroleum industry is deregulated. You understand? The government can say, okay, the taxes that I'm taking, plus the levies, I can forgo it. That's the only way the government can say, yes, this is a burden I'm taking on myself to reduce my budget line in terms of revenue and cushion the consumer, which is you and I. Apart from that, how much is bought from the traders? How much the cost of distribution, the cost of transporting it, and even the cost of trading it will be, the government has no control over.
Dr. Rivers-Inopon, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Rivers-Inopon is with COMAC. He's projecting, and it appears that it falls within the announcement we've heard from the government in the last few hours of the evening. That intervention, the 0.36 cedis intervention on petrol per litre, has now been removed. The 2 cedi intervention on diesel has now been cut down to 1 cedi 0.07 pesos per litre on diesel as well. COMAC is projecting, looking at all the circumstances around crude and the state of the currency today, and the removal of the intervention and reduction, depending on which of the petroleum products you're looking at. When you go to the pumps tomorrow, when the new pricing window kicks in, you're likely to pay more, just a little bit more for your fuel. So that's it. That's something you should look out for tomorrow. It's obviously a story with so many legs. We'll continue to pay attention to it and bring you how it evolves over the next few days, particularly over the next 2 weeks when another pricing window kicks in. It's still, it's still Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I'm Kemini Amana. I'll take a break, but when I come back, a new abbreviation has entered the economic language of this country, PCI. What does it mean for this country and for you? That when we come back. Don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo Paint?
Flamingo Paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
It's just small paints. I think huge area, meaning more profit for me.
Great value for money. Guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo Paint. Superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo Paint. Simply superior.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Freddy Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Freddy once now.
Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action.
Sasso spray, Mr. Freddy Sasso quell. Yeah, cool to my Sasso.
preko.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Welcome back. It's still Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Let's get into that new abbreviation that has entered the jargon around our economy, or the lingo around our economy. PCI. What exactly is this? But let's start from the top, right? Because Ghana has officially concluded its 3-year International Monetary Fund bailout program, marking a key milestone in the country's economic recovery efforts. Now, government and the IMF say Ghana will now move into a non-financing policy support arrangement aimed at sustaining reforms and strengthening macroeconomic stability. Now, at a joint press conference in Accra, the Finance Ministry and the IMF said Ghana will now move on to a policy coordination instrument, the PCI I spoke about. Now, what is it? It's a technical assistance framework designed to support policy reforms without providing direct financial support. So bottom line, there is no money involved. There is no credits like the $3 billion we got for the ECF, the External Credit Facility program. What this is just technical assistance to whip us in line or ensure that we continue to stay the path of recovery. Now, government says that the move reflects significant progress in stabilizing the economy, citing falling inflation, a stronger cedi, improved foreign reserves, and a rebound in economic growth. And you can understand why. Because while the ECF is a staff-level agreement, the PCI is a board-level agreement. It also points to recent sovereign credit rating upgrades as evidence of renewed confidence in Ghana's economy. I want us to take a listen to the finance minister and then the IMF rep who spoke on the matter at that joint news conference. Take a look.
Represent the restoration of macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. Following the derailment of the IMF program as at end 2024, the government of President Mahama acted decisively to bring the program back on track and to recalibrate it by implementing a front-loaded fiscal consolidation, bold expenditure rationalization. PCI is a form of technical assistance engagement with the IMF. It is a non-financing instrument designed to help countries implement economic reforms and signal commitment to policies that the financial market will be very comfortable.
Ghana's ECF supported program has delivered impressive stabilization gains. Inflation has declined rapidly, reserves have been rebuilt, and confidence in the cedi has been restored. Fiscal discipline improved markedly, with a strong primary surplus and sharp decline in the debt ratio. Despite fiscal consolidation, what is very impressive, growth has been very strong and even stronger than what we expected, supported by broad-based private sector recovery and robust exports. These outcomes reflect determined policy implementation and progress in debt restructuring, and they mark an important turning point for the Ghanaian economy.
Now, let's take a look at those figures that the IMF and the finance minister have been referring to. Where did we start from? Where are we today? And as you see on your screen, inflation before the ECF program, the original program that we have now graduated from successfully, they tell us, was 54.1%. Today is 3.4%. Debt to GDP 71.2%. Today is 45.3%. We are almost halving our debt to GDP ratio. The cedi to dollar from 15.5, today is 11, is hovering around 11.44. And fiscal deficit of 11 percentage point of GDP. Today is just 1% of GDP. That's what our fiscal deficit is. And that's what government is taking a lot of pride in, putting the country back on track of economic growth, which is what the IMF representative there in that video also referred to. But this PCI they now talk of, if we are on the path to recovery, why do we still need the PCI? There were attempts to answer that in the soundbite we brought you. But what do analysts think about this? Joe Jackson is financial analyst and CEO of Dalex Finance. He's joining me for a bit more on this story. Uncle Joe, good evening to you. I appreciate the time this evening. But this PCI, what does it mean for the average Ghanaian?
Now, first of all, I want to frame this slightly differently. That Ghana is not leaving the IMF. Ghana is leaving IMF money and moving to IMF monitoring and credibility support under what they call a non-financing policy coordination instrument. And the IMF says that the focus is fiscal discipline, debt sustainability, governance of our state-owned enterprise, the policy rate for exchange, our US dollar CD exchange rate, financial sector stability, and inclusive growth. That's all big English. What this really means is that we have not graduated. We are on probation with more freedom. That if you look at Ghana and you think that Ghana was in crisis 2-3 years ago, we were in the intensive care ward, receiving life support. Then we were moved to the ward. Then now they say you can go home. You are better. But the doctor will come and check you out every now and then. Please, you are not ready to run a marathon. So you are okay, but you are not completely fit yet. That's how we look. And for the common average Ghanaian, the good news is that if discipline holds, the discipline that took us out of intensive care into the ward, and the discipline that took us back home, it says if that discipline holds, meaning if we don't spend money that we don't have, if we don't borrow recklessly, prices should be fairly stable. The city won't rise up and down, giddy again. But the sad thing is that stability is not the same as prosperity. The average Ghanaian will look at food price, transport fares, rent, jobs, electricity cost, not IMF press releases. So for the average Ghanaian, this one, it won't change much. Life is still what they feel in their pocket. But it should give us hope. With caution. Hope that the discipline has delivered some result. But the caution is that we shouldn't lose that discipline. No. This is not an invitation to treat. This is not an invitation to start spending recklessly. This is not an invitation to start borrowing like there's no tomorrow. This is actually the message that you have done well so far, so continue to do what you did to get here.
Very well, Uncle Joe. When we look at point 16 of that statement from the government, it says achieving investment grade rating will significantly lower sovereign and private sector borrowing costs, attract long-term institutional investors, increase foreign direct investment, and unlock cheaper financing for critical infrastructure development and private sector growth. Clearly, a successful end of the program and the PCI, which more or less gives us an endorsement that this is a good country for you to give your money to. The government has on its mind from point 16 that it will go for some foreign credits, despite the finance minister assuring us they are not in a hurry to do so. What would be your advice to government as it prepares to return to the international capital market?
My advice will start from here. You see, the world is looking at you. It will be watching out to say that now that the IMF big whip is not there anymore, you're going back to the old bad habits. That's what everybody's watching. That's what I mean by probation. You see, stability doesn't mean that you have transformed. Stability just means that you are okay. You were in a hole and you've stopped digging. Transformation is different. And what though the outside market will be looking at us, the investors who buy Ghanaian bonds will be looking out for is that, is Ghana going back to its bad old behavior? The one way we can show that we are not going back to our old bad behavior is to be disciplined. The other way is that we have touted our 24-hour economy, that it is going to transform this country. Let us implement that so that we can start to show that transformation that we need. If we don't transform and we just stay in this stabilized state, we'll end up back in the arms of the IMF, needing IMF money for maybe an 18th time. If we keep the discipline, if when we borrow, we only use it for projects that are investments, projects that will yield a return to help pay for the borrowing, then we'll be fine. Then this will be an experience that we would have learned from. Otherwise, this painful austerity process and the crisis of 2022 to 2024 will not have taught us anything. So, by all means, let's go to the market. But let's show that we have learned from the experience of the past. Let's show that the discipline is now entrenched. Let's show that we are wiser after the experience of the last few years.
Very well. I want us to stay on point 16 and underline unlock cheaper financing. The managers of the economy are optimistic that the current state of this country, or the economy of this country, is good enough with a backdrop of the PCI endorsement, so much so that the cost of borrowing on that international market, when it becomes necessary, will be cheaper, contrary to what the situation has been for this country for a while now. Will it be easier to get this because of the IMF Technical Assistance Program? I mean, essentially, is this utopian in nature for the government to think that they will get cheaper credit because of where we are today?
The PCI just means that people will be looking at us and say, well, we have not completely left the eye of the IMF. There's somebody still looking at us and reporting. So long as that person keeps reporting that you are doing well, we should be fine. That cheaper financing will happen. If we start misbehaving and the IMF says, no, Ghana is not meeting its targets anymore, Ghana is losing its discipline, then we'll be in trouble. But so long as we keep the discipline, so long as the IMF reports that we're doing well, we should be fine.
Very well. And I want us to look at that final point, right? From 16, let's look at 17, because it connects with 17. It says that ultimately, this engagement will support government's efforts to accelerate sustainable development, create jobs, and raise living standards for all Ghanaians. The government by itself notes that, look, if we do this and do it well, we will be able to raise the living standards of the Ghanaian people, we'll be able to create jobs, and we'll be able to accelerate sustainable development. The question is to whether or not we will be able to stay the path. Do you trust the government to do so?
Now, let's be clear. The PCI itself doesn't solve anything. It still requires us to behave well. And maybe that's the deepest question of all. Have we solved our fiscal culture problem, where every time there's a loosening of purse strings, we spend? Or now we are ready to behave? That's the deep question. On the back of the discipline that has been shown for the year 2025, we are cautiously optimistic. On the back of all our history of misbehavior, we may be pessimistic. But We always have hope. And I believe that there's the right intention. So just maybe this government, this set of leaders, our President, His Excellency John Mahama, our Minister of Finance, our Governor of the Central Bank, the Economic Management Team, just maybe this time they are serious and they do understand that Ghanaians will judge them by how well they perform with the economy. So just maybe we'll be ready to behave even though that IMF big stick is not there. Just maybe we'll behave and report that things are well so that the rest of the world will be able to help us along the path of development. So all in all, I'll say we are cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic indeed. Uncle Joe, I'm going to have to say thank you at this time. We are out of time for today's program. Joe Jackson is a financial analyst. He's also Delex Finance CEO. We've just been looking at the latest technical assistance arrangement between the government of Ghana and the IMF and how it could change your life as a Ghanaian citizen or a person resident in Ghana. Just before we go, quick reminders that tomorrow, 7 a.m., Alfred Okansi will be here with his panelists to discuss the week's biggest stories. They will be looking at issues including government announcement, completion of IMF program, what we've just discussed. They will also look at the arrest of the Ghanaian MP, the Asante Achim MP in the Netherlands, and what the backstory is. Hopefully, we get more on that on the show tomorrow at 7 a.m. The legal ramifications, the diplomacy that comes with that as well. And then the legal education reform bill now signed into law. What next for legal education in this country? The processes of accreditation and the likes. All that will come full circle on Key Points tomorrow with Alfred Okansi. On Sunday at 1 p.m., join me for another edition of Hot Issues here on this channel. In between then, enjoy all our programs. I'm Kemini Amano, and I'll see you same time next week. Bye-bye.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior